Hey everybody, how's it going? August 17th, 2026, Monday. Welcome to the beginning of the week. Holy crap. Well, we managed to get that load of items packed up. What we're doing is we're moving basically across the country next spring, more than likely. It'll depend on the outcome of my injury and operations, but best case, worst case scenario, I'm planning on buying some property out east and going out there where life is a little less expensive than it is on the west coast of Canada. So go to the flea market and selling off our items. We have a lifetime of items to get rid of. We don't want to move them across the country. I don't want people coming to the house to garage sale. Nothing personal. It's just we don't have the space, unfortunately. So it's the flea market, and it was a decent experience. I haven't been to this thing for years and years and years. I went, I had good neighbors. I took a wide variety of items. I believe I showed a video, and we did okay. We covered our costs, and we made a few shackles to put away to help costs with the move and such. And it's less items for us to move. But there was some hiccups when we were there. There was a power issue. And I've been working on something for a few years now. I haven't said anything or shared anything with you, but I think it's a good time to. And that is solar generators. We had a bad ice storm here on the west coast of Canada in the Fraser Valley where I live in 2017. At the time, we lived on 4.5 acres and we had well water. And when we lose power, we lose water, and that's a big issue. At the time, I did not. Nowadays, I have 1,000-liter backup water because, well, it takes 8 liters of water to flush a freaking toilet. At any rate, we didn't have backup water. We needed that well water, and we did have a backup generator, and I even had a couple jerry cans of gas. But after a day or so, we ran out of fuel, and this went on for, geez, like, I can't remember, like 8, 9, 10 days, maybe even as much as just shy of 2 weeks, but it went on for a while, and we had to go just a good 70 kilometers, about 50 miles, to get fuel. And so I started looking into solar generators then. It was like 2017, and they were fairly new. There was a few companies out making them, but they were very pricey. But I definitely thought it was a good idea. We live on the west coast of Canada. They always tell us be prepared for the big one. And, you know, I'm not a prepper by any stretch of the imagination, but I grew up in a small town in the interior of this province. And when you live in the mountains in the interior, you need to, you buy your groceries typically by the quarter. You know, you have your weekly or consumables, but your core food store or your pantry, and I've just grown up that way, so I've always had that. But so I knew enough that I would have to be somewhat prepared, and that is certainly the future. And I started looking into it in 2017. 2023, when I returned back to the workforce after being away for a long while, I started looking into it, and I started gathering the components to build the solar generator myself, and it's been great. I use it in my shop all the time. I have a little smaller shop right behind me here where I have my solar generator, and it allows me to have 12-volt lighting in there. I can recharge. It gives me AC/DC power. I have 1,500 watts, so I can recharge all my cordless tools. I can record all my 12-volt accessories, and I have a few. I'll show you in a few minutes. This is very handy and cost effective. It really helps, especially when we moved into this house 3-4 years ago. Like within a week, some banana lost control of their car behind the house here and hit a big cedar tree. We have huge trees in my yard. You've seen them in my videos. Anyway, hit this 40-foot cedar tree. It fell over, hit the hydro lines, and lit the tree on fire. We had just had an electrical fire in the house from something similar. It was like, oh my god. Anyway, the power went out. So I was like, okay, it's time to do this. So I started assembling components, and I built one, and it's been great. But we went to the market, and I brought the new power inverter that I had purchased in one of my batteries so that if somebody needed to test a grinder or a TV, or I have a Samsung power bar, there was a vintage lamp, there was a few things, but if they needed to test anything, they could. It was the same um, when I sell something on Marketplace, and I just sold one of my 52-inch TVs. I brought the power inverter and battery so someone could test it. But this thing makes great backup power. I have tested it on the fridge in the house, which is a proper double door bottom freezer Samsung fridge, and it'll run that. You know, I don't think it made it the full 24 hours, but it ran for 20 hours before the battery needed a recharge. And I can recharge that battery in about 3.5, 4 hours using the generator, which is fantastic. A generator, and of course I have purchased a special lithium battery charger. But yeah, it makes it very, very cost effective. This setup here cost me less than $500 Canadian. I mean, that's like, what, 50 bucks US? It's very cost effective. I'll give you a little better look first. So it's a, 12 volt, 12.8 volt, 100 amp hour lithium iron phosphate battery. It's from DC House. I'm not sponsored. I bought this with my own money. You get 1280 watt hours out of it. It says it'll cycle more than 4,000 times. Should give you a 10-year lifespan. High energy density. It's a lighter weight, absolutely way lighter than a traditional lead acid or lead steel battery. It has a BMS, a built-in battery management system. You have to be somewhat careful on these. These have a reputation as not having the best ability to control output. So if you're pulling more than, say, 1500, you should have an inline fuse. I'll show that to you shortly. This is my new 1500 watt pure sine wave inverter. I always use a pure sine wave inverter because of the and that's the symbol. It's just the square wave ones can hurt your electronic devices. So this inverter has a nice display. It shows you where the current state of your battery is, what your output is, temperature. You have a nice control panel on this as well. You have USB, USB-C, DC outlets, a hookup for the remote. It's a remote monitor, so if you mount this somewhere where you need to start it elsewhere, you're provided with a long lead, a display screen, and a remote to turn it on and off. So this thing really saved my butt. If it hadn't been for this power setup behind me, I wouldn't have been able to test and or sell at least a half dozen items. So, but you have to have backup power. If you simply add a 100 watt solar panel starter kit to this, and again, they sell for like 110 Canadian online, and that's again like $20-25 US. It's really affordable. I'm funny about the price, of course. Now, this setup here will run my fridge, like I say, for almost 24 hours, and then you could recharge it with a battery, or you could use a solar panel. And it has a great deal of, USB features. You can plug in up to 3 items. It also will accommodate USB-C as well. So if you have a newer iPhone, again, you would just plug your remote monitor in with this cable, and then just put this where you could see it. You'll need a line of sight to use the remote. It's kind of small antenna. It's kind of cool. See? So, another one of my favorite things, this 12 volt fluorescent light. Man, this thing is awesome, and I recharge it all the time. And it's a great light. The only thing I wish with it is that it has magnets on the back of it, and they come out on one end. So great light. All I can find is a brand name is Grip. If anybody knows who makes these lights, I'd like to get some more. Anyway, very handy setup to have that. And you can see the difference in the charge with that. Now, that all being said, I love this portion. This is one of my favorite things. You're not seeing how to lift this. So this is a 12-volt light I use a lot of times on the barbecue. You see that? It's just a regular light bulb, but it's got its own switch, which is great. Great for camping, great for the barbecue when you're camping, or if you have like a portable stove, like say if some sort of, if you're out dry camping or hunting, you need a light over the camp because you've been out hunting all day, that's freaking amazing. This is also amazing. This fits right in between the headrest of your car. Well, completely rechargeable, lithium battery as well. The solar generator I built, I'm just going to show it to you here quickly and talk about that fuse for a second. Just give me a second, I'm going to turn this off and just move this out of the way for a second. Again, very light. I've set the cables up so I can grab the battery. No problem. It's very light. This is the solar generator that I did build. You can see the overall setup is very straightforward. Oh, I should turn this around so you can read. The power inverter. So there are a few other things you'll need if you wanted to build one of these, but they're very straightforward. Let me get my, I repurposed my fishing rod to hold my light. So I have I can take a small portable battery, plug my light into it. I've done this. Say you're out camping or something and you got to go to the washroom at the far end of the campground. You can't find your flashlight because the kids maybe. I have walked through the woods with this, but it's just an old fishing pole that I have converted into hold this lantern. Yeah, wouldn't want to poke anybody with, but it's I love this light. These are excellent and they're really not expensive. I hear they can also be turned into a generator as well, which is kind of cool. I'll have to look into that someday. All right, so this bad boy. All right, so I built this about a year and a half ago, and it has the same brand name, 1500 watt pure sine wave inverter. Came with the same cables, but instead of running directly to the battery, I ran to a bus bar first. So make sure you're seeing all that. Bus bar first. So negative side, positive goes through a fuse. That's that 175 amp fuse. Just spare fuse. I keep one there. I keep it in the original packaging so that if anything is to happen, not only do I have a spare fuse, I have the part number so I can reorder. There's also an inline fuse here. So the two bus bars, this goes to the charge controller. This is the charge controller provided by the company that I purchased my solar panel starter kit from. So both power leads come back out of the bus bars to the battery, and I use this heavy duty battery shut off switch. And I have a small fuse box here so that I can hook up external lights or other 12-volt options off of this power inverter. So I would, have additional 12-volt sockets and or run to lights. Very, very handy. Overall, I bet that solar generator, let me add it up in my head, the price is a little older, but again, even including the solar panel, I think that whole generator cost me less than $700 to build, for sure. Absolutely, including the battery, 100 amp hour lithium iron phosphate battery. So I hope this helps somebody. Have a great Monday. Sorry we're late on the walk video, but it's just been your classic Monday. All right, everybody, have a great weekend. It's Monday. Do your best to survive the rest of the week. Tomorrow's Tuesday. Stay away from KFC, that stuff, okay? God, I love KFC. Be safe, be cool. We'll catch you all on the flip side. Cheers.